Okay, I think it's about time we should start. So, hello everyone. I hope you are keeping well. So, over the last 2 weeks, we have seen how to get started with Flutter and the basic layouts of Flutter. So, today we will be moving ahead with one of the most important session, that is states. So, if you understand states, how to work with states, then I think Flutter won't be that difficult for you. Rest is like you have to understand the syntax and everything. But most important, as per what I understand, is states. So if you understand states, how to work with states, then I hope you will be able to go ahead. So yeah. So as of now, we can see 2, 3 people have joined. So let's start. So these are the topics that we'll be looking today. So the first is like working with states, stateful and stateless widget, basic state management without packages. Like we won't be using any packages as of today. In later like sessions, we will be using some other package management utilities. Then we have local data persistence, whereby we'll be seeing how we can save data in our local storage, whereby it can be in the form of what you say, the shared preference, or in the form of maybe DB. And then we will do a small to-do list application. So I haven't prepared anything complex, so things will be simple. So whatever you understand, you can say, and whatever you don't understand, that also you can say. So that way, things will be interactive, and we will know what is actually going on. So yeah. So now let's see what is states. So anyone out here who can say what is states? Like when you hear the word states, what comes to your mind? Anyone? I can see Ivan, Joshua, Nathaniel. Anyone? Like when you hear the term states, what comes to your mind? Anyone? Hello, am I audible? Hello. Okay. Okay. So, like if you search the word states in Google, the first thing that you will get is this English meaning. It's a literal English meaning. The particular condition that someone or something is in at a specific time. So, like this is the English meaning of it. So, in programming perspective, this states determines where what for a particular variable or for a particular widget or for a particular screen, like what are the values it is holding and in what ways it can change. So these states actually determine how our values can change in a particular widget. So just for example, like you are somewhere and you want to go to a fruit market and then you want to buy some fruits. So in that scenario, you'll first need to know where are you and where do you want to go, right? Like without knowing where are you, how will you go somewhere? And you also need to know where you actually will be getting those fruits, right? So yeah, so if you know, suppose I'm in Limekra right now and I want to go to this bazaar to buy the fruits, then I should know that which path should I take. Either I will go via Barik or I will go via the what do you say, this and the route via this Anthony's. So those are the two routes via which we can go to Police Bazaar. So first, I should know where I am and where I want to. Then only I will know that how to navigate to that place. So the state actually determines. So suppose initially you have some values in your variable and you want to change it to something else. So using the states, you can do all those things and it helps you in changing the values in a certain ways. Moving ahead. Okay. Just 1 second. I think something went wrong. My place. Just 1 second. Hello. Sorry for the inconvenience. I think something went wrong at my end. Yeah. So I think now it is visible. Is it? Hello? Yeah. Okay. Sure. So we were talking about states, whereby I was saying like states actually hold like the values and in which ways it can change. So I was giving an analogy whereby I was saying like if I am in a particular place and I want to go to another place, so how will I go? First, I need to know where I am and where I want to go. So I was giving an example whereby I was saying, suppose I am in Limukra and from here I want to go to Police Bazaar, right? So I can only do this if I know where am I and where I want to go, right? Yeah. So let's see how state actually works and what it actually means and the difference between state and stateless widgets. Okay. So we will be seeing what is states and what is stateless widget. Okay. So for that, I'll be starting, I'll be creating a small project. We'll be creating a small project. Yeah. So yeah, we can come here. I will create a small project. I will open Visual Studio Code and I will press Control P. So this gives me the command palette whereby I can actually check out. So here, go to desktop. So I'm here. I will check Control P. Okay. Okay, something is going wrong again. We are back. So Control Shift P. I'll press Control Shift P. So here you can see Flutter projects. I'll click on that I will click on application. So we'll go to so here select this folder and I will give the name of the Flutter application. So here we are seeing states. So I will give week 3 underscore states. Right. So this is creating our project. So it may take 1 or 2 minutes. So let's wait until then. Yeah. So I think it's done. So now what we will do is we will remove whatever is there. Okay. Otherwise, we can also do one thing is we can just run it so that we see okay what is actually there by default and how we can actually improve on this. So I'm just running this. Okay, let it run. It's starting. It started. Yeah. So if you can see here, it started our default thing. So now what I'll do, I will remove it. So here, if you see, I will remove the code, existing code, and I will write my own custom code. So yeah. So here I will create my own class. So I will write in VS Code. There are some shortcuts. So you can write STLE. This will give you the option to create stateless widget by default. Right. So I will give it my app name. And here inside this build function, you have your placeholder. So inside this, I want the material design. So I will select material app. Okay. And select material app. And inside this, I will create a home. And by default, I will give a scaffold just to see what comes. Okay. So here, if you see, we have an empty UI. So if you want to make changes on this, then what you can do is uh, yeah. So we will make something whereby we will click number of times in a button and then we will see if it changes or it doesn't change. So for it, first we will be creating two widgets, two screens to be precise. So first I will create a state plus example dot. This will see if how for stateless it works. So here I will do import material. So I'm importing and then I will again create a stateless widget first. So here this is what this is our stateless. So I will give state plus example. Okay, example. So here also I will give a scaffold and then with an app bar title of with text of status example. So if I save, and if I just replace this with my stateless example, stateless example, then if you see here, yeah, my stateless example is out here. So here, like what I will do, I'll make the body also, body of it, body, and here I'm creating a column, column, column with children, and then I'm creating a text with uh, and I will create a button out here with text named click here. For better indentation, we have given here. Yeah. So if you see this, you know I will give it center alignment so that it looks little better. And then yeah, now you can see this is right in the center. So now what I want to do is if I click this, I want this value 0 to increase. Okay, but I'm doing this with stateless widget. So let's see if it is able to do or not. So for this, what I will do, in the top, I will declare a variable named uh, status, 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 and then let us pass from here only. And then from here, I want it to reflect here. So what I will do is I will give dollar quick status. So now, as of now, what you can see is it is not being initialized as yet. So what I will do, I will go here, I will put 0, then I'll come here. I will just give here, comma, required this dot quick status. So now if you see, it is 0. And here I will give, by default it is 0. Yeah. So yeah. Now what I will try to do is I will try to increment it. So just in other languages, how we do, I will try to do like this only. So I will try to on each click, on press of click, it should increment this. So I will just give plus plus. So let's see if it works or not. Yeah. So if you see here, I will also be printing it. Click status. If you see here, our value is changing when we press, but here it is not changing. Here if you see clearly, our value is not changing, but here our values are actually changing. Means in real world, the variable is getting incremented, but nothing is being shown in the screen. That is how the stateless widget actually works. So a stateless widget doesn't know what values it is holding and in what ways they are changing. So that is the classic how a stateless widget actually works. It doesn't know when it builds the UI, that only that time it knows that this is the value it is having. But then after that, if some of the values are changing or getting modified, then it doesn't know. So here you can see it doesn't know. But if now we create a stateful stateful example dot, I will copy the UI to save some time. Yeah. And I will change the name to stateful. Stateful. Here also stateful. Here also stateful. Yeah. So now, if you see, now it is stateless. So I will convert it to stateful. Convert to stateful. So now, if you see, some of the things have changed. So here, if you see clearly, this has created an, here if you see this line, state of stateful example, it is creating a state of this type. So now it is actually managing the state also. Here if you see this line, it is creating the state, its own state, and then it is managing also. So now with the same thing, if I just take this here and click on this, and here for stateful, so we get, when we extend to this, it gives us some functionality whereby it gives us set state function. So using this, we can actually notify the widget that your state has changed. So now for the same code, only we modified this and we converted it to a stateful widget. Now you will see. Okay, let me just refresh this. Okay. Now it is not changing. Okay, okay. Yeah, I forgot to call from here. Stateful, stateful example. Yes, yeah. So we have our stateful example here. So now if we press on this, we will see actually things are changing on this chip. So now it actually knows what value it is holding and in what ways it is changing. So it is each time we click on this, it sets the state. So when this set state function is being called, then it rebuilds the state of that application so that things can reflect on the screen. Right? Look, it's almost the same code. We just converted our stateless widget to a stateful widget, and then it it inherited the state and it rebuilt the UI using the set state function. So as simple as that. So uh, once again, I will say that for stateless widget, it cannot recognize what values it is holding and in what ways they are changing. But in a stateful widget, it actually knows how its values are actually changing, what values it has, and it gets notified via this set state function. Right? Looks simple. Okay. Is there any issue? Anyone? Anyone? Mm, anyone didn't understand anything or having any difficulties? Okay, I think you understood. So let's see next. What is there? So yeah, so this was our state management without using Flutter, without using any packages, whereby we were just using the default configurations that were provided to us. We were able to set our states and update its values. Then let's move ahead to local data persistence. So what does it actually mean? So here, if you see here in this application, if I reload the application, then it forgets what its values were. So suppose I close this, I open it in new tab, it forgets what its values were, right? But using this local data persistence like shared preference, secure storage, or SQLite or providers, we can actually retain their data even when our apps restarts or we reload or reboot the system. Also, it can actually manage all those data. So using this uh, local data persistent, so we can actually do all those things. So here, the first thing that we have is called shared preference, where it basically manages our data using the key value pair. So it is very easy. And then we can see secure storage, whereby it is similar to shared preferences only, but here it encrypts the data as also. So in shared preference, our data is saved in the mobile or in that device as a plain text. But here, using the Flutter's secure storage package, we can actually save it using some uh, using some encryption mechanism. Then we have something called as structured data. Like this is basically for relational database, whereby if suppose we have tons of data, suppose we have 10,000 records of a particular thing, and we want it to be saved in the app, then we can use relational database. And in our mobile phones, by default, SQLite comes pre-installed under the hood. The operating system itself provides all those things. So we can use that and we can save the data. So for this, I'll be using something called as float, which is an object relational model kind, which follows the object relational kind of structure. And via this, we can actually save the data. And here we can also use something called as files, whereby suppose if you have stored some images in your phone, or you want to click some photos, or you have some music, so using this path providers .io image picker, you can actually access all those data as well. So these are some of the things via which our the data actually remains persistent in the device, and we can use it over and over again without losing any of it. So yeah, see next. So first thing is shared preference. So for using shared preference, I'll be again going to this. I'll be creating a new project. I'll press Control Shift P. So new project, and then I will select this folder once again, and I will give week 3 shared underscore preferences. So our app is getting created once again. So I would like to show you one more thing is here, if you see the package that we use for getting using the functionalities of the shared preference is this shared preferences. So you can go to pub.dev, search on top shared underscore preference, Okay. And the first thing that you see, shared underscore preference, you can go there. And this is the package that we will be using. In our project is created. We'll close this stateless. Yeah, our project is created. So here, now we'll be seeing how to install these packages. So here in the installing section, you can go and you can copy this. Flutter pub add shared preference. So you come here, and what I'll do, I will open the terminal. We'll go on top, terminal, new terminal. So in the bottom, you will see we have our terminal open, and from here we'll type this command: flutter pub add shared underscore preferences for your visibility. You can see here pub flutter pub add shared preferences. If you press enter, it will get it will resolve all the dependency, download everything, and now you can actually access you can now actually access your shared preference. Okay. Okay. So here, if you see, we have our default app. So again, I'll be removing some of it so that we can rewrite it once again. We'll be removing this, and my app like a demo. I'll be writing here shared preferences. I'll be removing this theme data and everything from here. Preferences, and I'll be creating a new screen here. I will give it as home screen dot dark, and I will import material dot dark package. Here is so I will create a stateful widget here because I want to access all the functionality that is there in the state. So here I will give it as home screen. Right. And I will put this here. Home. So now let's try to run this. Let us see what is there. So it is starting up. Yeah. Till then, what I will do is I have built some UI so that we can do things little faster. So I will copy some of it for your so that I am able to finish things faster. So I will copy some of the code from here, and slowly I will make you understand also what it actually does. It is starting. Yeah, if you see here, we have our app. This is the default thing that is coming. So now we will remove this. We will remove it the code that we have generated. So if you see here, remove some of it. Yeah. So here, if you see, we have a form with two fields. So one is title, one is description, and we will be saving in our shared preferences, and then we will be getting the draft. Okay. So yeah. So for that, since I want to manage it in a better way, so I will be creating an object of to do, and we'll be using that same to do throughout, so that we don't have to write too much of code or get confused with the code. So here, what I will do, I will create a model for to do what that. This will be a basic class to do with two variables. Title, this is type string title, and string description. Okay. And here, since you are using, like we are using Flutter default plugin also, here you will find there is something called data class generator. So you can click on this. It will automatically generate your constructors, your two map functions, your two JSON functions, two string functions, your operators, hash code, everything. So using that plugin, you can generate everything. And what we will do, we want to see so here, if you see right now, if we type something, click on save, nothing happens, but this also goes out, right? If you see, so by default, so what we have done here is we have created text editing controller, two text editing controller, or title editing controller and description editing controller. So for these two, so that we can get values from these two. And here, if you see, we have created a text form field with controller text form field, and we have given some hint text and some label text, whereby for hint we can say please give some title, for label we can say this is the title, and for description also we have done the same thing, but we have given max line, so that when we press on enter, it can go as multi-line. And in the bottom, if you see, we have two LED button, one here and one here, and on click of these things, on click of this, it can perform certain operation. And yeah, so now we will be inserting this in our object, and then we will be saving the values in the draft. And when we reload, it will automatically populate. So as of now, if we type something, if reload, it goes away. But what we want is when we type something and save, and then click and then go to one more page again, open that same URL and click on draft, it should automatically come up. So for that, what I'll be doing, I'll be creating the shared preference. So here on top, I'll be creating the shared preference. I'll be declaring it on top. So I'll be giving it shared preferences, and then I want it to be initialized in the beginning. So for this, I will override the init function, init init state function. So I want it to be initialized right away. So here I will give, I'll create an int. So I want to initialize this. So I will give ref wait preferences dot get instances. So this will give me the instance. So here we can see we have given async, but we haven't made it asynchronous as such. And this is our function. We will be just calling this on top. So here, what this init state does is when the first time our UI is building, when only the first time our UI is building, it triggers, it executes this. So when it executes this, it via this function, we are actually initializing our shared preference so that we can access the same shared preference over and over again in our application. So now if we go down, so what we can see is we want to actually save the shared preference. For saving shared preferences, I'll be creating a function here. So save to shared preference, and then we have something called as prefs dot set string. So here if you see, these values that we are getting are both string type. So that's why we are taking set string. So we will give it some key. So maybe the first one is title, and the second one will copy the same thing, description. So now we want to take the value from this to this. So we will be using our controller so that we can directly get it here. Dot text, and we have something called description editor controller dot text. If you see, yeah, so we have to give semicolon and semicolon for saving it. So now we will use this function right inside here, so that when we are executing this, it actually takes the value from here and save it in our shared preferences. Similarly, for getting the values, what we will do is we will write get draft values, and for putting, we will use the same text controller from here, equals to fs dot get string with the same key. So the key with which we have saved our data, we have to use the same key for getting the data also from our shared preference. So here if you see, this is giving us an error because this has to be an asynchronous function, because it slowly gets the data and then it can actually, here if you see, this can throw a null also. So if your key is invalid, it will throw null. So we are giving here null check also. This exclamation checks for null. So yeah, so we will take this function also, and we will put this inside our this get draft, so that when we click on get draft, it actually triggers this function. This will go here. This will get the value from our shared preferences and directly populate it in the our text uh, edit texts. So now, suppose we write hello week 3, and you can see we the reading and shared preferences process. Okay, so we click on this save, and then when we click on get draft, it actually comes. I think we have made some mistake. Yeah, we instead of writing the description here, so we have given title only. So it set the title twice. So here, if we once again press in get draft, it actually does. Now we would also like to check if we try a new tab whether it actually populates this or not. So here again, if we click on get draft, so here also you can see it is able to get. Now I would also like to show how it is internally saved in a mobile phone. So for that I'm using Android Studio. Using Android Studio. So I will keep it in the background so that the devices, the emulators can start. And so our emulator also started. So now we will be running this in the emulator. From here, I am changing it to our resizable like emulator, Android emulator, and then I will be running it once again, so that I am actually able to show you how it actually works. So it is running. So till this point, is there any issue? Like, hello, hello. Till this point, uh, did you understand something? So yeah, so our emulator is like the app is actually starting in emulator. So till that time, if you have some queries, you can please say. So here you can see we are actually accessing the shared preference via its key and values. So it is like key, this is the key, and this is the value. So did it start? Okay, it started. It's running. Okay. So till this time, we can also see some other things because we are going short of time. So next we can see secure storage. So secure storage is also similar to our shared preferences, but here the data is actually encrypted. So it also follows the same key value kind of structure, but here whatever data that we have is actually encrypted. So this is basically used when we want to store user data or some other kinds of thing, whereby if somehow somewhere if people are able to access our data, they won't be able to actually understand what it is. So this is how our actual shared thing works. So here if you see inside this inside this we have data folder, and inside data we have another data. And if you see example here, if you see our app will be populating here. So if you go to this files, okay, still starting, synchronize it once again. Yeah, if you see here, I am typing week 3, and I am typing we are learning shared references, and I'm saving it. So here now if we go to this data, our package name is com.example.something. So let us search for it. Yeah, you can see this week 3, Here we can see there is something called as shared preferences. When you click on this shared preferences, you will see this title is week 3 and description is we are learning shared preferences. So this is internally how your shared preference is actually stored. But if you go to secure storage, this is how it is stored. So here it is the same thing, but here if you see, this is saved in an encrypted format. So the package for our Flutter secure storage is this one. You can just search this name, Flutter underscore secure storage, and this will give us the actual implementation, how it actually works. So you can just install this Flutter secure storage and you will be able to access. So I would like to just show you the syntax because we are running short of time. So I will just show you the syntax of this one. Secure storage. So, yeah. Here if we also have key value pair whereby this is the key and this is the value, and we can give whether we want it to be encrypted or not. So the syntax is almost similar. So this also has key value and we have this. This is the how I have initialized, and here this is how I have actually saved it. Rest of the code remains the same. This is how I have declared it on the top. So I have just created a final secure storage and then once secure storage. So rest everything remains the same. So now do you want me to continue for the next thing, that is our local database using SQLite? Hello, because it's 8:8. Hello. Okay. Some more if you can respond, because okay, okay, so two of you are saying. Anyone else, or should we continue tomorrow with that thing? We have just one topic left, but that topic will take some time because the database concepts and everything will also come into play out there. Okay, someone is saying continue. So okay, let's see. So here, what I will do, I will again create a Flutter project. Okay, someone is saying tomorrow. Okay, okay, then we will continue tomorrow around this time only. 7:30 will be preferable, so that from 7:30 till 8:30 we can continue with it. So before that, I will just show you something you can read about it. The storage is done. So we will be working with SQLite database. So you can learn the basic syntax of how SQLite works, the raw queries, how it works, and then we will be doing tomorrow this working with SQLite database with something called as float, float, something called as float, float. So using these packages, we will be doing using these packages we will be actually doing, yeah, using these packages we will be doing our database. So here, what I will recommend you, you guys can go through the syntax of SQL, so that tomorrow when we do this, you actually understand what we are actually doing. You just go through the syntax of SQL. So the same syntax will come into play here also. Okay. Any question? Okay. If you have any question, you can reach out to us tomorrow, today in the group, or anytime during the this entire week. We will be happy to help you. Thank you. Tomorrow again we will be meeting at 7:30. Okay. Uh, Kishan, if you are there. Okay. So I think we can wind up for the day. Tomorrow 7:30. I think the today's session was quite long with a lot of different concepts, with a lot of coding. So tomorrow also it will be little hectic because the content is quite big. So be prepared. If some of you have any question, you can ask so that we can answer you.